with
Ooh,
BMAC.
look at all these people.
Hey.
Hello.
Greetings.
Hello.
Everybody still
Hello.
connected?
Everybody's
Hello.
connected.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Looks like we're all on. Hello. Can you see me again? Because last time I was off.
Not yet.
No, we can't.
Nope.
Everybody's slowly popping up.
Oh,
Video.
okay.
Yeah, it's giving us that same error, Russ. I don't know what's up.
Oh, not again.
We can at least hear you.
Zoom just hates you, I guess. I don't know.
Look on the bottom of your screen. You should see something that might say start video.
Let's have a look. What's this? No. It did this last time. You. No, wait a minute, Lee. Wait a minute, start video. Ah ha ha ha. I'm so computer illiterate, honestly.
Hey.
Guys,
There we go. That's better.
Hooray. Hi,
was
Ryan.
that echoing?
You're echoey and also have no video. Oh, there you are.
All on one
There he
screen
is.
anymore. Oh no.
I've got two screens going.
That's why we got echoes. You got to mute one.
All right, well, that solves my problem of who was Ryan guessing, because I was like, there's two Ryans and I only have one on the list.
Okay, I muted the other one. Is that better?
Perfect.
All right. I have to go pick up my daughters here soon. So
How dare you be a dad and take care of your family?
Oh, I know.
Transformer is more important than children. You heard it here first. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm hoping
Don't
mine
publish
stay
that.
quiet.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
was
for
just
the
racing
record.
home to after picking up my kid.
Mine are all in bed. It's 8 p.m. It's 8:15 p.m. They're all in bed. Hopefully they'll stay there.
All right.
I got to worry about them coming in here and like latching onto
That's why I'm
my
at the
figures.
office, so my daughter doesn't come busting in this afternoon because she'd wake up from her nap and just it'd be time to come in and say hi. So
Well, you've seen the pictures, Ben, of my son taking my Megatron all the time. So
yep, I get it. My daughter steals all my toys. She came in the other day. She's like, I open this. I'm like, no, not right now. She goes, when you're not here, I open then. Okay, bye. Just walks out of my office. I'm like,
my daughter's thing is, can I play with the girl ones? Can I play with the girl ones? And I go, yes, of course. And she goes, and I show her Override, and she goes, doesn't look like a girl. So
Good job,
I
don't
tried.
give Victoria.
That's a good teachable moment right there, right?
Well, I say to her, like, yeah, like there's a bunch of different bots, they look different. And she's like, but I like the ones that look like a girl. It's just
She's half right. She's
Yeah.
half right.
it's her preference. So her
There we
preference.
go.
Well, just give her Striker.
perfect. All right. I'll kick us off. Thank you, everybody, for making the time to come hang out with us. We know it's been a bit since we've seen you. We had PulseCon. We've had a fan stream that we had last week. Obviously, we covered a lot of things, so I wanted to touch base and get in front of all of you. Let you guys ask some questions. We covered some studio series, a whole lot of legacy, a few exclusives along the way. Per usual, we won't talk about Rise of the Beast or anything having to do with the theatrical movie. We can obviously talk about the studio series toys, but we won't be talking about anything going on in the film or the mainline kids line that was revealed last week in the press desk sides. If any of you need information about those Rise of the Beast mainline toys, PR will be more than happy to share all that info out with you. If you have any questions, but because this team, that's wonderful, we didn't work on any of that stuff. We don't want to give you the wrong answers. Obviously, there's some beautiful toys coming in that line and we're excited for them, but we just aren't going to talk about them. So per usual, we'll start out, we'll go around the room as it is on my screen, and you can each ask your one question. And then if we have time, as time permits, we can go around and let everybody try to ask some extra questions. Does that work for everyone?
Yep.
Cool. Well, Rodimus, you are actually first on my screen today because you were eager to get that video on. So you get to go first this time.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I actually have like a few of them, prepared. So I'm like, which one do I ask? And there was like I really like the idea behind the the pipeline stuff. Showing us the stuff that's coming down the line. Because it's kind of like a way to like get past all the leakers and stuff. But if I had a question, I love cassettes and I love Soundwave, I love Blaster. So seeing twin cast was really exciting. You know, I was wondering if you guys had thought of, you know, with twin cast being the idea behind holding 2 cassettes and not one, was that, you know, something that wasn't in the budget? And if maybe we would see more of the cassettes, maybe like a Legends blast, you know, a Legends class blaster, and then more like Ravage and the cassettes to like have like the you know, a complete set, you know, out there. I wonder if you guys had thought about that, since releasing twin cast is like really exciting, and so is Soundwave and Blast, you know, all of them. I love that whole entire, you know, gimmick behind them. So
Yeah.
That's very similar to what I was going to say. So sorry to jump on top of it, but obviously
Okay.
Soundwave had the was it the Spy Pack Patrol? So I think what he's trying to ask, is it the same? Can we have that for Blaster maybe? Because obviously Blaster's cassettes. It's a
Yeah,
similar sort of
there
thing,
you
isn't
go.
it?
Yeah.
So, there you
Steeljaw,
go.
Ramhorn, all
There
of
you
them.
go. I
I
just wanted
mean,
to help you right there.
Of
Yeah,
course,
I'm sorry if
we're-
I'm just rambling off like my question off. So
Of course, we're always trying to finish mini collections for all the characters.
Mhm.
We all love Steeljaw and Ramhorn, so you know we're gonna obviously try to do what we can with all of the cassettes and give all the guys their little minions. You know what I mean? So more to come on that. And then for Twin Cast, I actually worked on Twin Cast. I thought about the double cassette. Budgetary concerns are always a concern, as everything, of course. But you know, in all reality, like you know, when we did those, I think it was a Sound Blaster, maybe it was what was it? Was it Titan's Return? They had the double chest.
I think you're right.
That blaster, I think, yeah, I think we did do the double chest before, and it was actually, from what I recall and remember, it was that a lot of people actually didn't like the double chest. So I don't know, and the blaster like mold is so clean and really good looking. In order to accommodate the second tape, we'd have to drastically change that, and and plus the mechanism as well. Like there's just it's a little. I thought it wasn't really needed. I was just like, you know what? I think this is still going to be a strong twin cast that, you know, because obviously in the animated series he doesn't really have like a huge chest on him either. You know what I mean?
no,
So
I think Soundwave or Sound Blaster had the added chest sticking out, the way that was designed. And then he had like that cassette that controlled the Mad Machine, and then, you know, what have you. But what was it? I'm trying to remember now, like specifically for with, you know, with each of them. Oh yeah, the other thing was, of course, is wondering about like when you chose the alternate head. I'm sure some folks were wondering, like with the alternate head, if there was going to be the toy accurate head or the cartoon smirk. So
that's yet another thing that was just like that was a difficult, there's like a lot of difficult decisions for that twin cast, because obviously everybody wants a toy head. I want the toy head, but for twin cast, if like you're trying to replicate how he's his appearance in the cartoon, it shouldn't be the toy head, you know what I mean? So
yeah, true, unless you do like a you know, release Sound Blaster and have him have sound waves, or have Blaster's toy accurate head like as an accessory to be like, hey, here's he took him out kind of thing.
And as you've been seeing, I love to add in like the extra heads, so like it gives everybody, like the fans and consumers, like, you know, that opportunity to like, you know, make your other character out of that mold. So definitely stay tuned for those things to kind of like pop up throughout the line.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
All right. Matt T, you are next.
That's a change. Normally I'm one of the last ones. Okay. Throwing me through a loop here, Brian. I got a list. Right. Okay, I should apologize to Alex. Actually, I sent a giant list of questions to go through, so I got to try and pick which ones actively are probably the better of the lot. One actually comes from a design aspect, and I know this is technically on the lines of dealing with Rise of the Beasts, but it's more of a design thing, and I'm not sure if you guys can talk about this because I know with Studio Series, you strive to be very accurate with your designs. And we know this with the Studio Series Airraiser that was released recently, that her engineering is very, very similar to the Kingdom Airraiser. So is that it was just really fun happenstance that she lined up with the ILM model, or was it just more of a fallback idea? Plus, depending, I know when it comes to movies, the things change on the fly and everything else. And obviously with toys, I believe you guys said that you run on like a 3-year outstretch.
It's about 2 years, but yeah.
2 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So is she going to be
Recording in
accurate
progress.
Okay, someone's recording.
Apparently, yeah.
Is that going to be like, is she going to be accurate to the ILM model, or is it going to be different essentially? Or did you guys even get those models in time to be able to make this line? I think that's pretty much what we're going through with that.
She was accurate to the ILM model that we had at the time.
Right.
As movies do, colors change as things progress, details change. At the time, it was correct. But the reason that it also lines up with that kind of Kingdom Airraiser is when we were looking at it, we noticed that the designs were very similar because they took a lot of influence from classic Beast Wars. A lot of the Beast designs that you'll see in the movie, like I remember looking at them and just being like, oh, these are all the Transmetal designs for characters. Like they almost seem to function exactly the same as well. So for that Airraiser figure as well, I was working with Yuya-san, who did the original Kingdom Airraiser, and he was like, I think the conversion is just kind of like this classic Kingdom conversion. What do you think? And it's like, yeah, let's do it. That's great. So that's kind of how we ended up there, if that answers your question.
Oh no, it does. Yeah, definitely. It's just I was like, oh, that must have been a really fun happenstance if that's the case. Like, because I know everyone is very particular when it comes to the Studio Series line.
So
Yeah.
that's not a partial, but just an engineering reuse, right?
In a sense, I guess that's how I would put it. There are no reused pieces from Kingdom Airraiser. It just uses a very similar conversion.
Yeah.
So.
This is also the first movie that we didn't work with ILM.
Oh, right.
So
Sorry.
Industrial
That
Light
was my
Magic. This is
assumption.
MPC, which is a moving picture company. So
Thank
it
you,
is
Sam.
an interesting process because, again, it was something that we had a very established workflow in terms of how we've partnered with ILM across 6 movies, and kind of working in a very different form of collaboration as we've moved over to MPC. So a great partnership between them and Paramount, and again, really being able to take a lot of influence from what we've been able to achieve in toy in the past.
It's really interesting seeing how a lot of the Beast Wars guys actually look like a lot of the Beast Wars guys, whereas a lot of the namesakes like Mirage and stuff have not looked like the original guys.
Yeah.
So I think you can't have an F1. You can't have a one car driving down the street, can you? So I think that's what that is.
That's it for that one.
Yeah. I've got something sort of similar to tag onto that. So obviously when the Transformers cartoons came out years and years ago, you had the toys. And of course you made cartoons and the original 86 movie about the toys. So obviously with these movies now, a lot later, further on, what does come first? Do the toys come first, or does the concept of the movie come first?
I guess in this instance, it's the concept for the movie first, because we're basing the Studio Series toys in particular. I guess it's different for which brand you're on. Studio Series, obviously the movie comes first. For the kid line stuff, which we can't really talk about because we don't work on that stuff.
Kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
On kid stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that there's been Transformers media that's been toy first since like Transformers Cybertron first, like all the way back in 2006. Because otherwise, I mean, animated was like the designs first. Transformers Prime was like the show designs first. And I guess you could make an argument for like War for Cybertron Siege, just because those were literally the toy CADs that they were animating. But
That's true.
yeah.
Well, you could say bots, but
Oh,
There is I mean, there is to add on to that. There is an upfront sharing of information, and there are a lot of conceptual designs that come from our team, and they have conceptual designs that they do as well. So there is a back and forth up front at the very, very early stages.
Cool. All right. Next on my screen is Jack or Bacon, as you normally see on here. Are you there?
Yes.
Perfect.
Hello, everybody, and it's great to see you guys again. So thanks for continuing with all of these. One of the things I was curious of is, was the Volvo Optimus Prime originally going to be the Amazon Prime Day release that was leaked, or just a rumor that never was an actual thing? Because they look so similar, and I always assumed that the pandemic kind of nixed the original exclusive, and I'm grateful we got it anyways.
Yeah, obviously we can't comment on products that did or didn't happen. We have a good partnership with Volvo all around. We did the construction piece on Devastator for Studio Series with Volvo, and our brand leader at the time wanted to continue that partnership, and we knew that the Volvo VNR 300 was an iconic vehicle that would look awesome as Optimus Prime. And then we decided we wanted to do some fun things with that, like venture into taking a little page from our Star Wars team friends of doing those holiday decos. So we wanted to do a holiday Optimus Prime, pays a little homage to that UK comic cover. So Mark had a lot of fun trying to make Optimus look like he's wearing a Santa suit in that toy. And that was the first representation. You know, super fun to drop that while being at MCM London. So, you know, because that cover was a UK cover, so it seemed like the appropriate place to announce that. And then again, that pipeline announcement that we're continuing the partnership and we're going to give you that classic Optimus this year is just, you know, again, it's an awesome mold. We had a lot of fun making it. It converts really well and nicely, and it looks great. And then Sam worked on the classic one, and I'm super excited that you're all going to get to see it later this year in his glorious G1 color scheme.
Great.
just to jump on a little there was a store listing for the Amazon Prime version put up through like Amazon Australia. So like that wasn't just a rumor, but
well, you know, crazy Australians sometimes just like to go rogue. They live in a land down under. They're attacked by spiders bigger than humans and kangaroos that just slowly scratch on their door. You never know what they're thinking. So
yeah, the platypus is poisonous, you know. So
yeah. So just using the mold, we designed it. We wanted to get it out there, and again, just it's about a partnership with Volvo and working with them and continuing that relationship. You know, as things progress, maybe there'll be a future for that truck somewhere else down the road. Maybe it actually makes a movie. Somewhere along the way, so that could be fun. All right, Anthony, you are next.
Thank you. So my question, I know Evan, you had mentioned earlier, sort of confirmed that sort of 2-year period that it takes to sort of get a line out from idea concept to actually releasing it. In terms of whether comments heard through like roundtables like this or just sort of online comments in general, how long is that period to implement either a concern held by the fans or any sort of issue between hearing it and getting it in the line? Is there a way to sort of fast track ideas, or is it something where that 2-year period is kind of the period that you're looking at no matter the issue?
It depends on what the issue is. But essentially, if it's like completely starting from scratch and creating a brand new figure, then like we are doing what we can to kind of shrink that timeline down. We say it's 2 years, but it's probably more like 1.5 years. It's just we put in a lot of leeway, especially previously when we were working through a pandemic and shipping times were just blowing all of our schedules out of the water. Things like that. Depending on issues,
like I know a recent issue was something like just not this one in particular, but just a random one I had remembered was sort of the yellowing of the plastic was something that was a major issue for a lot of fans. So
photosensitivity. Yeah.
Right. So something like that, how long would something like that be to implement it into the line? Because I know some people, they see that issue and they expect it to be fixed tomorrow, which is unreasonable. I know, but it is something that does want to be fixed. So what, for a serious issue, what is that being looking like?
It depends, because a lot of times when we do have a serious issue, there's an investigation that has to go through. We have to pinpoint what the problem was, where it came from, where in the process it's coming from. So it could be anywhere from like 6 months to a year. Other things like, I don't know, packaging and things like that, like we can usually implement those a little bit quicker. But if it's in product, then we're probably looking at maybe like a 6-month time.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I think it depends too when the feedback is coming through and what point in development we're at. Because depending where we are, if we're really early on, we can take that feedback and run with it right from the start. But if we're all the way to maybe a few months before these guys hit shelves, then there's only such a small window of stuff that we can do. And then it's just feedback that we keep in mind for the future to make sure we're not rewriting history.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know what? To add to that Prime Skyquake that we just released for that leader and legacy, that was the team took a lot of information and learnings for the RC and bulkhead that was released. So that was a direct implication of trying to formalize that design aesthetic a little bit closer to the Prime aesthetic, and that was caught just in time, basically, as the development process was moving along quite rapidly, as it always usually does. But those comments were taken and kind of formalized into action. So we are listening.
Noted.
Perfect. All right. So I messed up there. I meant to say Anthony B for that one, but that's okay. I can keep track. So Anthony, your turn now. We're going to do back-to-back Anthony's, and then my screen reset a little, but I know who went and who didn't, so we'll be good.
Sure. So first off, guys, I want to tell you all that love the live stream, loved all the reveals. One thing I noticed with the reveals, especially with Legacy, and this is one of the great things about Legacy, is that you're really finding ways to tap into the history of the brand and into various, as you're calling them, universes, right? So I guess for the design team, what universes that you haven't tapped into, that you feel haven't been represented yet in Legacy, do you want to tap into? And I'll just leave it out there like that.
Ooh.
I like the ooh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is this the hashtag
every
all of them?
piece of Transformers
all history.
Yeah.
Minus live action, because that's the joy of studio series. Yeah.
There's a bunch. There's a bunch.
I'll let you guys talk. Everybody loves what you guys do on design and what you want to tap into. I mean, no property is essentially off limits from marketing's eyes per se, right? Like we're approaching our 40th anniversary. We have 40 years of history to pull from with Legacy. And that's what we're loving and doing. And I think you guys are seeing that and loving it. So, but I'll let Mark, Evan, and Sam kind of whatever your favorite, obviously I'll say it forever and a day. I want my little dude. I want my little sea spray. So he needs to come into work. So I'm just gonna keep living in.
So bold. Generation 1. Oh, so different. So obscure.
No one collects that. No one wants Generation 1 anymore.
No.
Well, can we get his girlfriend though?
Yeah.
Alana.
That just keeps coming up. That just
we'll do a mermaid pack. Yeah. We haven't touched Energon in quite a while, haven't we?
Nope.
I don't know. That's probably due for some updates in there. That
I
Optimus
would love
Prime
some
could
Energon
use.
Optimus.
Yeah,
Good place
exactly.
to put that Scorponok trademark.
Be pretty nice. How I feel. Machine Wars. I want my Blue Jet Megatron at deluxe scale. That's what I want.
Megaplex.
I think we're going to get a Starscream, aren't we, though? I think Starscream must be coming with Skyquake's mold.
Machine Wars Starscream. Yes, please. King
Mark's
Atlas.
doing that.
Sam, what do you think? You got any? You got any obscures that you want?
I have some real obscures, but I feel like if I share them, it gives things away or it alludes to stuff that might come. So I'll just say
just lie. Yeah.
Nothing's off the table.
Damn, you
Really,
foiled my
really
plan.
want my Rescue Bots Blades figure, but no, I think anything can
Yeah.
be anything
Why
can be
not?
looked at.
I like that.
We've been asking for Generations Rescue Bots for like 10 years at this point, like whenever they
God.
started.
Blades is
really
a
been
good
10
choice.
years.
Blades.
I
is a
keep
good-
hearing a lot of that talk as well. People really wanting Rescue Bot representation in Legacy and stuff.
Yeah, that was that one, wasn't there? What was his medics? Apparently, we've seen images of the medics, haven't we?
Well, technically, Rescue Bots is Prime Universe, right?
Technically aligned continuity, I guess. Yeah. So,
And RID 2015.
that's a good one.
That is a good one.
But
I
it's
love
not
all
as
those
good as RID
combiners.
2000.
You want your bisque?
Yeah, our robots would.
Whenever I hear RID, I immediately go to car robots. I
Yeah,
forget about the
That's fine.
2015 one. So
Got it.
I'm terrible with that.
You go to the superior robots.
Little bit. Yeah.
That's a good guy. I like that.
There
The
was that
superior
comment of a
version.
fire truck at the end of the stream.
There are many Optimus fire trucks.
And Evan owns all of them.
Any fire truck prime is a good prime. I mean, it doesn't matter which one. You got to do all of them.
Very
Yeah.
true.
All right, Jeremy Dennis, you are up next.
All right. I was wondering, like we were talking about the Metal Hawk on our podcast, and just how well it you can't really tell it came from a Cyclonus, and except for like maybe a couple panels. But we were wondering how you plan on creating multiple characters from a mold like that. Like, do you have ideas for a character and you like look at all your molds and see what'll fit, or do you, in the early stages of doing a mold, you're like, okay, this is going to be a Cyclonus, but I think we can also get characters A, B, and C out of it.
It's a couple things. We do pre-plan sometimes a lot of characters, like, hey, later down the line we could 1 or 2 mold partial this into X, Y, and Z. Specifically for the instance you're talking about, it was literally I was looking at Cyclonus and I was double checking some timing and dates, and I was like, oh god, it's the 35th anniversary of Super God Master Force. We gotta do something. And I was randomly looking at Metal Hawk's silhouette in both jet mode and robot mode, looking at the Cyclonus figure I had, and I was looking at the mold plans, and I was just like, oh, I can do this. That's easy enough. So it's just, sometimes it's just things like that. I have a document actually that we have put together that is listing like our figures, and it shows, robot mode, vehicle mode, and then there are notes to the side like could be this later down the line, things like that. So try to keep track of them.
Nice.
And it is monstrous.
Yeah, we usually go back and forth all the time, actually, through our working days. If something just kind of like sitting in the back of your mind, you're like, you know what? Yeah, I could turn that guy into that dude. So, like, if you get a chance during the day or even at night, you kind of do up the mock-up and then you send it in the chat over to the guys, and then we just kind of like all chuckle and be like, yeah, how are we gonna do that?
That's how you did skids to crankcase, I think, right? Like, because you were just like, yeah, let's do this, and I was like, oh yeah, sure. Okay. So
a couple of
everyone
those
encouraging each other to kind of go further.
Yeah, a couple of them are like pre-planned, like Evan was saying. Like I pre-planned Road Rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there are characters that are just alt heads, right? So, but then there are other ones that are just a few more bits and pieces to them to go a little bit beyond.
Yeah, for sure.
But those are always so much fun to do. I find them like a fun puzzle, where it's just like, how can I make this character out of existing characters?
Yeah, and our TT team is huge in that too. Like we can load an idea by them, and then they come back with this design plan where you're just like, how did you figure that out? And it's mind blowing, and you're just like, okay. And then they'll make a design plan for something, and they'll be like, look, if we make this character, we can make these 8 other characters out of this with a 1 mold partial. And you're like, sure, that sounds cool. How did you figure that out? So it helps having them on our side as well. We get to work with them hand in hand on all of this stuff. That's great.
A bit like Needle Nose being a predator. That's got to be in the line, hasn't it? Needle Nose is going to be Falcon or one of them, isn't he? He's got to be.
Perhaps Eagle Eye. You never know.
Oh,
who knows? One of them.
All right.
Gave us a little spoiler there, Mark.
I keep
That's
getting it.
I
keep
was
testing-
just I just like having you guys chase around thinking I'm giving you
Okay.
spoiler.
Okay.
Perfect. Brett, you are up next. You're good? All right. Proto Man, you are up.
First, I want to say, Evan, nice Symbiote Studio shirt there. Good to see you. Good to see you rocking the
Who doesn't like
the-
Meowtimus Prime?
catnip convoy. That's what it is.
I have a white cat who is currently at my feet right now. So it's like the fact that this shirt is Optimus Prime holding a white cat is just
Beautiful.
Yeah. Actually, Barrett, do you want to make your on-screen debut? Here, come on up, dude.
Oh.
He's actually turning 17 tomorrow. So yeah.
He's an old guy. That's great.
He is an old guy. Got him in college, so it's one of those situations. Here, you can sit right over there.
So a bit of an inside baseball question. You guys were talking about tooling just for a second ago. So how many heads really at this point are pre-planned in advance with the first tooling of a design? Like we'll go to like, let's say something like Blaster, where you had like, I'm going to assume that smirk face was on the original tool from the get-go, because we had, I think one time that head leaked out. Someone in the factory in Vietnam accidentally accidentally painted it. Same thing happened with the Megatron with Kingdom. But how many heads are usually on that tooling? The initial tooling before you go into do.
I mean, it
Evan's
depends.
got something there.
Yeah,
It's
say
just
right ahead,
well, no, it's usually one extra. Like sometimes we can get more, but more often than not, depending on size and scale and room, depending on how many accessories we can put in, it's usually one extra head that we are planning to be another character down the line. Part of that has to do with us being like as tooling conscious as we can be, because that's like a big point right now, is trying to make sure that we can get as many characters as we can out of molds, but at the same time, Mark and I are humongous fans of this, so we're trying to make sure that those heads align to the correct things that they were back then. But it is usually one extra head. There are rare cases where there are more, sometimes there are less, but usually it's one extra head.
And what's pretty wild about that is sometimes it's just not even a head. Sometimes you get in a weapon and a head. Sometimes if you want like, the two heads, like, which is a rare occurrence, but sometimes you do. Maybe there's a faceplate involved.
So like the core class Nemesis Prime you guys showed recently, I'm going to assume that Energon blade was already on the tool.
Indeed, that
There you go.
Energon Axe was there for the first Optimus retool. So when we kick off a project, yes, we have like, you kind of have to look into the future. You have to have the crystal ball and kind of just like be like, I want to do all of these characters out of this mold, but maybe things will align. Maybe sometimes things won't align. I'll tell you this, we've gotten a lot better at aligning a lot of the stuff, because back in the day when I was in the model shop doing all the prototype painting, and I used to get all the extra heads from Takara, a lot of the extra heads just never seen the light of day, and it was it was, and it's a shame. It always, because it stays with me, because it's a shame, because you see how like cool the heads are, and you're like, oh man, these characters could have came out like, but whatever fits in the line. We try.
Sneak some of those into some of the photos, like battle scenes, as like just decapitated characters.
That would be cool.
Document is like super helping with that too, of like we're uncovering heads that previous designers had hidden the molds that like maybe our team is not as aware of. Like that was a direct result of Galaxy Shuttle. Was Mark poking around one day and he's just like, oh, look what we can do, and then Galaxy Shuttle happened, right? It was great, and it gets to build out for everybody that was getting their victory saber, and it was just continuing that JG1 universe. So yeah, lots of fun there. All right.
Beautiful.
Matt Guzzi, you are up.
Hey guys, first Holiday Prime, fantastic toy. That was a highlight of my holiday toys this year. Let's talk Evo Fusion. Does it simplify things, the fact that the figure comes apart and you can slap it onto others, or does that add an extra level of design complexity, being armor, vehicle, and robot?
Are you referring primarily to the Junkion system?
Yeah, like Crash Bar. as an example, because I was looking at the pictures, I was like, wow, I wouldn't want to have to shoehorn a third form into these.
I'll let Mark go into detail, but I think anytime we're having, if it broke apart to swap into a different mode, I think it would be a breeze. But the fact that we actually were able to retain a full transforming robot to vehicle that then breaks apart in addition made these so much more complex than I think a lot of the building systems that we've done. But I'll let Mark go into details because they absolutely crushed that system.
Yeah, and obviously Takara was a major component. Ijima-san, who I worked with on the combiner of Metasaur and Motormaster and whatnot, was the designer I worked closely with to do the Junkions, and it was a large effort. It took a lot of time to figure out, like, because I mean, don't get me wrong, the whole weaponizer functionality of the modular system that the fossilizers had is just like, it's just so successful in like a, you know, like a play value type of situation for kids to like play with, customize, and build. But that was that one aspect that I was just like, we have to figure out how to get this transformation like as a regular transformation. And it was difficult. And Ijima-san did figure out like so many miracle things with it, and then it was just constantly tweaking in from there. Like once you figure out that transformation sequence, and then it's just kind of like, you know, the styling, and then like how many accessories, how the accessories are going to actually interact with each other, and then the fact that the vehicle modes then could also do the same exact thing. That was the hurdle for me. That was a hurdle for me to get to. I think the transformation sequence was like, okay, we do a standard transformation sequence for these guys that it's not like completely insane, but when you get these characters in hand, you're like, oh wow, these are actually really good engineered transformation sequences. But the fact that making the vehicles all work with each other when you haven't even designed the future characters that work in with the program, so you almost have to design them all up front and then kind of just figure out how it is they actually will do that. But there's still like that opportunity where you're just like in between, where you're like, is this going to work? Is this guy is this last character gonna be able to take on to these vehicle so there is that constant questioning, and it was definitely a design challenge, and I lost some hair over it for sure.
Yeah, I saw the comment in the chat you guys are going on, which is hilarious. I like this all head pack fatality thing going on. But we have to do friendship here because we're a family brand. We're not going to do any bleeding heads. But we'll talk about the combiner system. We're super excited to see what everybody comes up with in terms of combining, the same as we were with fossilizers and weaponizers. Like, you know, the fan community is just insane at what you guys are able to create and get shared on all of your websites and your social medias, and like we'll share them out too. But like I'm expecting to see something ridiculously crazy by the end of the year when you have all of these different forms of these characters, and I'm looking forward to it because some of what we got from the fossilizers in particular was just mind-blowing. So
I made this rad bike out of I made a like this awesome, like super crazy, like Harley bike that you'd probably see in Mad Max or something out of Scraphook and Crash Bar. And it was just, and then I like took off Skullgrin's head because Evan was like, oh, you need the skull from Skullgrin. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. I gotta find those pictures and post them. But the combinations you can make for vehicle's sake is just bananas.
That could lead into Samurai Prowl if you really think about it too, like bringing on like the full-on armor with that, you know, piece all those parts together, and you know, that would be kind of neat.
Sidecar.
Yep.
That you actually can make a sidecar out of Crash Bar and Scraphook.
Cool.
Oh,
yeah.
sweet.
We'll have to see if
pretty
we can
wicked.
put an animated oil slick head in there as well. So
Oh,
at some point.
nice. I like that.
It's just a tube.
Perfect. All right, Russ, you're up.
Okay, so first and foremost, great stream last week. Really enjoyed it, and a huge thank you to everybody and who's on this call. It's an honor to be on here with you guys. And most of my things have already been asked, but I've got one that's sort of, it's a little bit like the cassette pack. What it is, obviously, when we got Skywarp with Legacy, obviously loads of people were a bit unhappy with the missing null rays or whatever you want, the blasters. So obviously in Siege and War for Cybertron, we had like a huge weapons pack, which came with, I think it was Brunt, and there was Ravage's cage, there was Optimus's axe, and there was loads of things like that. Is there going to be an opportunity under in Evolution for maybe a sort of similar thing? So for weapons that obviously, if Nemesis Prime's got the axe, the core class, the original Optimus hasn't. Maybe there could be an orange one for him, and then maybe get the blasters for Skywarp as well, because the other jets have all got their proper blasters, haven't they?
They do.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. We always definitely look at weapons packs. It's something that comes up quite frequently as we chat with fans throughout the year, and they're just like, give us more weapons. It's hard in terms of like how we have to plan our year, like putting just a weapons pack at retail, right? As like we're retail first and ecom kind of second business, and that's just a Hasbro thing to a point. It's hard to fit it in the line and not make it just a Pulse exclusive, but makes it not available to everybody. I know that the last weapons pack was a Pulse exclusive, and some people had a little bit of a trouble getting it. So we're always looking at that and how to best do it. I promise you that these three have like 900 different plans for the best weapon pack thing we could do. We've tossed around many different ideas on how to make it exciting and fun and how to get it out there. So I mean, we could also just re-release Skywarp with his null rays instead of his fork cannon gun at some point in time too, to get him out there as a way to make sure that those fans get that character the way they want him. So
that's a good idea.
For what it's worth, Skywarp has a variable caliber machine gun, Starscream has the null rays, and Thundercracker has an incendiary launcher.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
Thank you.
Arm cannons. I'm gonna simplify it back.
That'll do. Arm cannons. That's what I was looking for.
I like when I have cannons just pop out of my biceps, because obviously, I work out quite a bit. In shape person on this call, so
that's why they call them guns, right?
Yeah.
Ryan, do you want me to skip you since you're driving and come back to you?
That's a yes.
Swerving off.
Oh no, I'm good. How's it going, everyone? So the question I have is it seems like a lot of people are having a lot of trouble getting some of the store exclusives. I think the Netflix Soundwave and Bumblebee come to mind. Cosmos, maybe it's just a Walmart thing. Is there anything being done to address some of the short life span that some of these really highly desired toys are having?
How to answer this without getting fired? No. Obviously, we
well, or is there a way to revisit some of these?
Yeah. So we're obviously,
maybe that's a better question.
We're very tuned into the market, right? We don't want our fans to ever feel left out. Obviously, the Netflix collection was a sad byproduct of COVID. Cosmos ended up being exponentially more popular than we had planned on. I know that the UK and Europe did a little bit better job of actually ordering solids, and you guys actually have an excess, and I applaud all of the fans who are helping other fans by going up and buying cases worth of Cosmos and shipping them out to fans all around the world. So that's a nice, awesome part about our community of fans. We obviously look at those things and try to figure out how to get them back in the market, but there is that exclusivity window. So like when we sell a mainline retailer on like, this is your exclusive, they have that set window of time before we're allowed to touch it again. So obviously that Soundwave mold came out for Shattered Glass last year, so it's kind of off that exclusive list per se. So I would say you'll probably get a chance to see him again. The Bumblebee is a little more complicated because it was a licensed VW, and those licenses tend to only be for the expected year that product will be on shelf. So we'd have to revisit that licensing agreement, re-sign with VW. Not that that's a very hard thing. They're a great partner to work with, like most of our vehicle partners. We just have to justify making enough pieces to re-sign that licensing deal. And then Cosmos was just another like byproduct of Walmart only decided to bring in assortments, and it was kind of on them if they wanted to add more or not, but they have their own commercial goals that we're not going to pressure them on. So it was, again, just a slight shortage here in the States in the way it was packed in the case.
So is it challenging, like in the case of like the Soundwave, for example, to get Walmart to do that mold again if they do have an exclusivity on it? Like it seems like putting that Soundwave in Legacy or somehow in the Velocitron line would have been an opportunity to do that again, or
Well, I'm not sure how a boombox races across the finish line, but you know,
he could be broadcasting the race.
oh, he's gonna broadcast Hasbro's transmission. So yeah,
as well as a tow truck did.
So no, I mean, now it's like I said, the Soundwave mold is actually kind of out of its exclusivity window. So obviously it's being looked at where it can make a home again. We're also obviously with Legacy looking at spreading out characters. Understand Soundwave's massive popularity, but like if we make 4 Soundwaves every year, kind of in like the vein of, you know, an Optimus, are we missing out on making another Decepticon that somebody might have a little deeper love for along the way? So lots to do. Obviously we have another year of Legacy that we're kind of planning and looking at, I think. So what we'll see we can do there. So
I love that Ryan asked that question, and there's the guy that sold me one for only modest markup at one of those conventions.
Hey, gotta make money, right?
Well, I mean, if
I
you
don't
think
blame
about
him
it,
at
you do it
all,
in-
but I love
you
that
do
he
it in
asked.
86 color, change the color of Soundwave to be cartoon accurate with a lighter blue, and but then
Comic
again, I
book
don't know if
purple.
it's a mold issue, right?
If we do Soundwave again for
Capacity.
Studio Series 86, I would do a new mold so I could bring him up to a height of Blaster and everybody else.
I'd like to throw one half joking pitch out there. In Marvel G1, a lot of time Soundwave is colored fairly on the purple side of blue, and like
Very
that could
purple.
certainly be a very interesting variant to get out there in some capsule line in the future.
And there's some beautiful lips in the comic too.
Yeah,
so-
he had an open mouth and
Retool head.
and a nightmare sequence. He had drill fingers. Yeah. So,
Perfect. Chris, you are actually up next for a question.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so this is a little bit more on the technical inside baseball side, as someone called it earlier. I noticed TwinCast chest window and the clear plastic parts on Rewind are very different looking colors. So I was wondering if the cassette buddy parts are on their own tool so they can be shot separately, or if you have a way of coloring clear parts individually after the fact to get that result.
Yeah, it, actually used a spray tinted op to get a colored clear part for the chest cavity. We usually don't do it a lot, but back when I was a prototype painter, I learned in the spray booth that it's actually possible if you have something casted in a certain color, or even so obviously it was casted and smoked out clear for Rewind, and then ended up spray opted a certain color red, so it actually did go along with I mean, it's a darker red version, but it still is red, and I thought that was kind of a key component to the character to still have that like reddish canopy cassette deck. So
we usually call it tinting, right? Like
yeah,
we can. It's things that we can reference. The results can vary, but Mark did a great job getting it to look the way it does. Sometimes it's a gamble. You got to pray that it works.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely there's only certain colors actually you can pull it off with. Other colors, like as you would think, if you put a color on top of another color, it's going to turn like, a different color that you're not intending whatsoever. So it actually does only work for certain colors, and that was actually something that I already knew about, where I was like, oh, I can still get this red chest. So that was kind of clutch. Good question, though. Thank you for noticing.
It's an issue we run into. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Hearing from you is more important than hearing from me.
I was just going to say it's an issue that we also run into even with opaque colors, where, if we do things with like tinted windows and we're painting over to have like a body match color, that's something that can also drastically throw that color off. A lot of times when we try and do like darker window tints on something like a Bumblebee, and then we hit it with that yellow, you end up having like this almost highlighter green color to the body. That unfortunately the only real way to combat it is either adding additional layers of paint or by lightening up that base tint in order to have less manipulation on the over color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
There
very
are-
interesting.
There
So
are
this
certain
would
colors that are a nightmare, like painted yellow and molded yellow. It's the same with painted red and molded red. It's like every time it's like, oh God, please just look good for me. That's all I want.
Mark
that
is looking for something desperately.
Yeah, Mark is
I,
on the
I
hunt.
was looking for the. I have Twincast somewhere and I can't find them. I was gonna show it off, but sorry,
just-
I only have rewind here.
I just wanted to confirm though that would mean that any theoretical hypothetical use of the cassettes in like opaque plastics would also entail having the opaque window piece from the blaster mold come along with that because it's all in the same tooling originally, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, because there's been concerns just with the durability of clear plastic over time and the little tiny joints and delicate pieces on those cassettes, and hope that maybe someday we could see equivalents or re-releases in the opaque plastics.
Sure,
But
we understand that.
thank you guys so much for streams or conference calls like this, the streams you do, and especially your social media presence. Like it's just, I feel like an unprecedented level of access that we have to the design team these days. Over the last year or so, I love this so much, and I hope we get to keep having this for a long, long time. This has just been a real thrill, especially to us longer time fans who are just like hungry for the inside knowledge that you're sharing. So thank you all so much for this.
Happy to hear that. I'm
Ditto.
glad that you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah. They Sam, Mark, and Evan do a much better job than I do, right? They have more juicy details to share. I'm just like, hey, look, we did a thing. We have a stream coming. Like I have to be more business focused, and they get to have more fun details, which is why I, reshare their awesomeness and then be like, go check out what they did. So I'm glad that we're able to provide that now, more so than we were in the past. Before I joined the brand, it was kind of a big push. I was like, we got to get on social because we just kind of can't share that information from our direct corporate account. So we needed to figure out a way to get it out there without just like sending a blast every week to be like, this is this week's design stuff, which I know you guys would love. But at the same time, we want to have some fun with it and have some ownership. So, social media worked out.
I mean, there's so many things you can do with these toys that it's like, it's just endless, really.
Yeah.
The
We get great concepts and content. Like I get reached out to all the time. Like, why don't you redeco this? And I'm like, add it to the folder of good ideas.
Well, there was a period of design where like, oh, we'll put this in and we won't tell anyone about it and we'll let the fans figure it out. But from a fan perspective, it's like, was this intended or not? So we were kind of scratching our head.
King? Is that a hint on Dino King there? It's got to be a
I
hint
don't know
on
what you're
Dino
talking
King.
about. We're getting a Volcanicus.
The left leg sealed the deal.
Oh, well, I was thinking of like the robots in disguise mini-con armor, where each of the little ones came with like, oh, if you buy 4 of them, you can make a shark,
that.
but we're not going to tell you can do that.
Wasn't there also like a little lion or something?
Yeah.
Those were the ones that came on a sprue, right?
Mm,
Was that the,
yeah.
Okay. That
Those
was
were
Sean
cool.
who worked on those. Yeah.
Yeah, those are cool.
I'm sure they meant to tell you, but then it just got lost in the shuffle of being a corporation. So, and there wasn't like a social media presence at the time.
Yeah, Comic-Con
but
was social media. That was it. That's what we had.
yeah, and oh God, and then there's so much you want to say, but then you're following the flow of those conversations that happen out there, so you forget, and then you can't backpedal, and then not until you're back in your hotel room at night that you're like, oh, I forgot to talk about that. But yeah.
All right, Kevin, you're up. Maybe you can recoup, the cost of buying Soundwave.
Well, I missed out on what the ground rules were for questions.
So
and I
no
apologize.
Rise of the Beast direct stuff and nothing about the kid movie line, but everything else: studio series, legacy, fan exclusives. You can talk about anything you want.
You said not the regular Rise of the Beast stuff, or no?
The studio series Rise of the Beast, go for it. The kid line stuff that got announced at the
No main line.
No mainline stuff. So
Well, I
like
was
the
just
stuff
going to
from
ask.
last Tuesday.
My question about that was just, what Yeah, all right. So
I mean,
my
you can
question's gonna be
ask it, and
that.
I can tell you if we can answer it.
Well, just in general, there are other toys beyond real kid toys. Are they more based on like concept art, kind of like what the early visions of what?
That question. So that is actually outside of this team's kind of full knowledge in terms of the movie for the kid line. So I don't actually have an answer, but it's something we can make a note of and take back to that team and try to get like a little press brief out to all of you.
Studio series is remains the more collector driven line that is, you'd say, based on CAD models straight from ILM that you know is going to be more, let's say, higher end screen accurate is the idea.
Yeah. So Studio Series is still that line. Kind of let Bellini take this one and give you a little more insight to like how everything unfolded for 2023. As we all know, the movie moved, right? So that kind of changed things a little for everyone compared to how we've done every other movie and what we've been doing. So
Yeah, definitely. So Studio Series, the goal has always been to bring it from show to shelf, right from the screen to, into your hands. And that's really what we've tried to do from start to end. But with Rise of the Beast, obviously, movie was supposed to come out in 2022. So that created some issues, right, with our whole planning process and how we were going to get our items out on shelf. But yeah, once it got pushed out, it did allow for us, though, to bring those movie items on shelf in a movie year, which is the first time we've ever done something like that. So there's definitely been a lot of challenges, a lot of learnings that we know, but Paramount still has been awesome partners the entire time. So it's made it great, and it's been great to see how we can do this moving forward too. And in the future, coming out with same year products on shelf with the actual content going live. So Kevin, I don't know if that's answering your question, but
yeah, well, it
yeah,
sounds
do you
like
want me to elaborate on?
there's gonna be more movie toys on the shelf than all at once than what you were originally anticipating. So that makes all of us happy.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a great opportunity for us to see what the bite is too. Just having product available on shelf while the movie's out there. It's a great learning process for us too, just to see what people are into, what they're buying, if they want to purchase it right after watching the movie itself. So there's a lot of learnings that we get out of this, and like these conversations too. It'll be cool to see what happens in 2023 and walking down the aisle and seeing all the Rise of the Beast stuff on shelf. And
so I think by asking what the ground rules were, you ruled out both of my questions. My other one is, so is there another, a separate, completely separate team that's working on Earthspark stuff?
That's the kids team.
Yes.
Yeah.
that is, yeah. So the same team that works on the movie line is working on Earthspark and working on the animated film for next year as well. So
But those are 4 other designers that maybe at some point we will get on a stream and talk with. So
yeah,
it might be difficult. 2 of them are in LA. So
we'll have to do a separate, like, get a roundtable together for everyone for you guys to talk about Earthspark, because obviously that's hitting the shelves now. Show's great. I don't know if everybody watched the first half of the season when it was released on Paramount before hitting Nickelodeon. It's been great. I really loved episode 8. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I really liked that one. And if you've seen it, you know why. And if you know me, you know why. So
yeah.
All right.
I'm on episode 7, so now I got to watch it tonight.
Things shift in episode 8. I don't want to oversell it, but things do shift.
Oversell it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it was a very pleasant surprise for the sort of universality of that. It would appeal to both the younger audience as well as us old fogies, I think, are enjoying it. So I have.
It does a great job of blending a lot of the continuity together. They will pull from and even further episodes down the line, they'll pull more from like the IDW comic and some things, and it's crazy. Clearly you can tell that they were inspired by some of that because of Megatron's design, but It's just fascinating. It seems like it was made by a lot of very passionate people, which is always just a plus. So
Always helps.
yeah.
Yeah, they've said that the like Earthspark Megatron design is based on the Furai model, which was in turn based on the Alex Milne design.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's kind of like a game of telephone in that sense.
A copy of a copy of a copy. Yeah.
A little bit.
Run
Yeah.
it through the fax machine 3 more times and we'll get there. It'll be fun. Perfect. All right. Alex M, you are up next. I don't think I had you yet, right?
No, I'm just helping moderate for PR.
Got it.
So,
Sorry,
you're good.
everybody reset. My bad.
All good, all
The screen
good.
reset and I'm trying to keep track. And I'm like, Alex, I don't.
Well,
But
do
you
you
know,
have a
Alex, if you
question
have any
anyway?
questions, yeah.
Alex
All
has got
right.
to say.
Matt Karpowicz, you are up.
Hooray. Let's see. Well, we haven't actually gotten to this yet, so I guess I'll bring it up. Junkie and Crash Bar, he's cool. We like new characters. What can you tell us about his development or his personality?
That is a good question. I wish we had Rebecca on to talk about like some of the copy that she worked on for Crash Bar, some of the like those little bios that we work up.
Yeah, I don't know what Crash Bar's bio is gonna officially say. I mean, obviously Mark embodied him on the stream for you guys. He wore his junkie on colors, even shaved the beard right into the Crash Bar look, full commitment. So we have to applaud that. What do you want to say? Like,
Well, does that mean Crash Bar is just Mark?
No. So I was over the weekend, I was trying to work on a social post to try to get like all the different designs that we had for Crash Bar together, because he really was like Dan Kana did a version, Marcelo did a version. Marcelo actually helped with all the Junkion concepts as well. It was integral part of it. And then like I actually did some concepting as well. And the more and more the team talked about like where we want to go with like Junkions, as far as like, we kind of had to push the aesthetic a little bit, because, I mean, obviously our G1 Junkions that are shown in the 86 animated movie are like, they have a certain look to them. And, that look that's being done in the studio series that Evan's working on, those characters, we just all kind of felt like, these kind of need to be like a little bit more pushed towards that Junkion junk level, like a post-apocalyptic thing that is kind of like very, very popular amongst like today's media and everything. So there was a lot of talk about that. And then obviously the color scheme to keep him in line with all the other Junkions was that, I think that was crucial to kind of showcase that he is part of the squad. You know what I mean? He's like a member of the team. A lot of his personality, you'll have to wait to see for, because I do believe Rebecca does have like a little write-up on him. So
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I will just add, I believe you've referred to like these new guys as the Junkion cadets.
I keep saying that.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? Like, can you describe what that means to be a Junkion cadet?
Oh, I just feel like since the Junkions from the 86 movie are so much bigger than the Junkions that we have in Legacy, the scale is like quite off. I just kind of came up with the fact that maybe like they're new recruits and they're just like, they're not up to snuff like the rest of the Junkions are yet. And it's almost more of like a Earthspark aesthetic, where they're just like a smaller version of the Junkions. You know what I mean?
Okay, because there is like precedent for that in Transformers. Like the individual headmaster heads that Japan sold in the 80s were sometimes called like the headmaster teens of all things. And then you've got like the headmaster juniors, of course.
Juniors, yeah.
Yeah. So like I was kind of equating that with cadet, like maybe they're younger Junkians. I don't know.
That's pretty much where our head was at as well. You know what I mean? It's kind of just lends itself to work, kind of.
they look 40, but they're only 14. You know, there's always one in every high school. So
Hey man, I had facial hair at 14. What are you gonna do?
no, it looks
Yeah,
good. Actually, I don't remember who. I actually saw a picture. I think it was even this morning on Instagram. Somebody put their scrap hook with Junkheap and Rekgar, and we're just like, oh, they look so cute together. But like, was pointing out how awesome and the colors got nailed, right? So, yeah, we just
That
kind
was
of joke that
difficult.
they're younger Junkions, and like in terms of internally, like talking about them like the kids of Planet Junk to a point. Not for any particular reason. I don't know if that comes across on the bio. It's just how we decided to internalize talk about them as we developed them.
Just kind of as a joke because of the scale. So yeah.
Yeah, and pay close attention to the sculpt details. There's some secrets in there.
I mean,
I
I've
answered.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say loads of people, because I've obviously just recently reviewed Scrapbook, which is brilliant, and loads of people put in the comments that he's too small, and I just said, well, he's built on the Planet Junk. He can be as big build as they want. You know, they can build him as big as they want to be. He doesn't have to be built big. He doesn't have to be built small. It's how they've built him, and there's no comeback from that, is there? They're just built on Planet.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get the glue involved somewhere.
Glue, or was it
Still-
polish? Because it seemed like it
polish
was
and
just
glue.
polish. Yeah, and it was the magic polish that brought him back to life.
Well, hey, if you
Still
get
trying to
blown up,
figure
you
that
can get
out.
put back together. Okay, just remember
Yeah.
that.
Still trying to figure
Bondo.
that out.
The
I think
Bondo.
I've got like a copy of the original storyboard of that scene. Maybe I can see what that calls it.
Mm,
Yeah, I'd love that.
yeah,
Oh,
maybe
stencil
written in the
ones.
thumbnail. Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
Perfect. All
Sense.
right. Alex W., you are up. I think.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hello.
All right, so I think you guys went through a lot of it, but I know you're not gonna be able to answer anything specific, but I have to do it. RID 2001, Evan made a little comment about fire trucks, and I know you're not gonna say, yes, we're doing that at this date, but
Oh, Alex.
what's up with some RID 2001 car robots love in Legacy?
Of course, Alex is going to ask this.
I have to. I feel I'm obligated by law to do that. So, you know.
Uh,
I'm gonna grab some stuff. 1 second.
oh, maybe this is panning out.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. RID 2001, Scourge from Velocitron.
He was, and I
in
appreciate it,
2001.
and I thank you all for that.
So obviously, like as we continue to say, and we'll continue to say it across Legacy, like we're celebrating 40 years of entertainment. So RID 2001, obviously a big part of that. It kind of sits right in the middle, right, of 40 years if you look at it. So it's kind of like it was kind of a jump off point for some people. They're like, okay, I've done my Transformers time. I'm gonna take a little break now, and I'm going to college and getting married. I'm having a kid, and they took a break. For some people, it was their first entry point into the series, and they've been here for 20 years since then. Now, so like we alluded to that on the stream, like Evan, we like to reset ourselves every 3-ish or so years, so there's an entry point for
Alluded.
every
It was a
generation.
joke, but there's a lot of
I know,
truth
I
into
know,
that.
I know. I'm
So-
just Josh, but because I just want to give you guys the opportunity to officially, unofficially comment on RID.
I love
So
RID.
Evan's got some fire trucks to show.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's like, so I love RID. I love the combiners from it specifically. Like they're some
Yeah.
of my favorite toys from back then. I'm hoping at some point we can revisit them. Obviously, that Optimus Prime is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
God Convoy or Omega Prime. I have
Yeah.
2 of them actually. Yeah, I don't know even if they show up, but
We can
hopefully
see
at
the
some point.
test. Yeah.
It may be a related question. When you look at doing a huge toy like that, car robots, Optimus Prime, does that become an issue if it's releasable or not today?
Certainly looking at.
Yeah, I don't know where that would fit. Like, if you just did Prime, he might be a leader, but he's probably more like a commander, and then there has to be 2 of them. So it's like, I don't know where that would fit price-wise currently, but I still
Probably.
want it. So figure it out.
I still
Well,
want it. Give
I'm
it
glad
to
to hear that there's a lot of desire for these other franchises that aren't G1. So that's always a positive.
You make them both
Yeah.
commanders, I'll buy them both.
Evan, you have no idea how much desire there is for non-G1 out here.
Oh, I absolutely know.
Yeah,
but it's just
of
it's
course.
good to hear.
It is
So
good to hear. Yeah.
Always good there.
Can't confirm or deny, obviously, anything that's coming in the future that we haven't, through the space bridge for you. Obviously, all of this feedback is great. Definitely something we can add to okay, apparently there is demand for this character, which we kind of have seen building demand over the last few years. We go through everybody's forums and people commenting, and they even comment on our posts, especially particularly after Evan decided to say fire trucks. We definitely had comments this week about give it to me. So saw that in the review of going on. So yeah, it's definitely something we look at again as we go through and continue to develop Legacy.
You told me you wanted more engagement. Dropping a hot take like that got us engagement.
Got engagement.
Well, what'd you say? 2 years development time? So, the clock started ticking last week.
Yeah.
At the fire truck
great! I'm on a
comment,
timer. Great.
So you're saying we're going to get an operation combination fire chief or discharge from 6 turbo, like the real deep cuts?
Oh
Get your
man,
fire trucks.
there are many 6-liner combiners that we need to do at some point.
A little bit of Gal Geiger homages. Stick that in there.
Oh, Liner Gal and everybody
There
else.
you go.
The Takara Tomy folks love the Yusho Brave series, and talking to them about that stuff is always fun.
It was what, Inryu and Horyu, I think.
Enryu and Horyu. Yeah, that is correct.
Enryu
for Choryujin. Choryujin.
Yeah. Which I remember showing my brother that head design, and of Choryujin's head design. He's like, that is like a fusion of Optimus Prime and Megatron, and it's like, yeah, I guess it is.
All
Maybe
the,
that
it's
is
all the
why I
same
love it.
DNA.
Yeah,
All the
I mean,
DNA.
same designers, same everything else. So.
Yeah.
All right. Juan Burrito.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. First, long time listener, first time caller, as they say.
Hello.
The engineering for War for Cybertron Legacy has been excellent. So, I just would like to ask, what's been some of your favorite engineering innovations that the design team came up for those lines?
That is a good question.
For example, like a popular one is the Jetfire, the Siege Jetfire hand, how it, when you close it, will close and it pops out, it gets the port out.
That's a good one. You know what? The Siege Hound, how the legs folded up to be like, it's the entire side of the car, and then it just, I remember John showing that to me back in the day, and I don't know why, that blew my mind. I just thought that was so cool.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. That's a really great one.
That was a nice little, and then standardized articulation that we've been putting in has been just a wonderful plus to everything now. It keeps things consistent and good. I don't know. What about you, Mark?
It's fun. It's like everything I start thinking about is all the things that we're working on right now. I'm like, yeah, I can't talk about
roll it
that.
back, roll it back.
Can't talk about that. Can't talk about that. I got that short-term memory appeal here. Actually, you mentioned skids to crankcase before, and that I didn't really, that wasn't really like pre-planned, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like an afterthought, and I was just like, how am I gonna do this? And the grill gun that gave him the circle in the chest, that for me, I was like, I figured it out. This is it. So that was an accomplishment on my behalf. And then I think Jaxus, working on that item, there was a lot more to him that I can actually talk about, but that was a good design challenge there, where I was like very, very souped as to how he came out. So
was there a specific engineering part of G-Axis that got you going, or?
It's kind of just the character in itself to make him kind of the space jet. The space jet really kind of looks like a Scourge space jet in the comic book series, and so the space jet that we did for Jaxus is a little bit different, you know what I mean? So that the engineering to get the robot to the space jet was actually really fun, especially having like the little target scouter that actually you can pop off and put another has a 5mm post in it. That's like a little secret there. That was yeah, there was like a lot of just things on that character that I was like, yes.
You gave him opening hands.
Opening hands.
Opening hands are always amazing too, guys. Especially when like stuff like when it gets getting bigger and it gets more articulated, like Unicron's hands. It's just every single finger.
Yeah.
Or like
sure.
Rodimus. Like I kid you not, I heard like for a straight week when it was first leaked and then proceededly announced for Kingdom Rodimus, because he has the individual finger and then the rest of the one. So everyone's like,
yes.
I'm going to point at Galvatron demandingly.
My Rodimus is up there, right behind him is Victory Saber, and Rodimus is pointing like Jotaro from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Victory Saber is his stand.
Oh, okay. Well, then
yeah,
who's going to be the Dio in that? Like, who's gonna do the Dio
actually
walk?
Galvatron. I've actually done an image,
Okay.
if you see it on my Instagram, of I did the "Are you approaching me" meme with Galvatron and Rodimus.
You're
So
actually approaching me. Yeah.
yeah.
Sam, you
Okay.
didn't get a chance to answer. Do you have
Yeah,
a special?
I think in terms of one that we can talk about, because there's a lot of really, really amazing stuff coming for Legacy in the next few years, in the next few months, that we're going to be really excited to share with you. But I think in terms of just true innovation, kind of going back to the Junkion platform in terms of really being able to solve for that buildable vehicle, which really has not been a component that we've focused on before. I felt like that was just such a game changer to finally be able to deliver, and that was something that was really bolstered by fan insight, and it was, because of the success of what we'd seen happen with fossilizers, with weaponizers, and just seeing the imagination go wild in terms of, oh, well, we're not really accounting for the person that's going to buy 6 of these just to be limbs. But how far people went into utilizing it as a building system, that we just wanted to be able to deliver more and more. We wanted buildable robots. We wanted them to be able to, disassemble and be able to build into other bots. But we're really excited to see what the vehicle combinations, because I think in terms of buildable alt modes and seeing how much further those can be pushed, that's that only exists because of what you guys have done as fans.
Sure.
It's a little bit of the beaten path, but you kind of make it sound like the Diaclone reboot that Takara is doing concurrently right now, because it has all the modularity. You can tear it apart, and all of a sudden you have a helicopter made out of a truck's wheels.
It's very Mugenbein, and yeah.
Yeah, Machine Robo Mujinban.
Or Blockmen, which was another 80s Takara thing, which came over here as Robolinks through Robotech.
Oh, wow.
Good question.
Good question. Last but not least, West, what do you got?
Good afternoon or morning or evening, everybody. All
Evening.
right. My question was pertaining to Rise of the Beast Cheetor. I wondered, who designed that first of all, and did they design it intentionally to have some themes of like Beast Machines Cheetor in there? Because I noticed a few hints from Beast Machines Cheetor, a little bit of a hint of Transmetal 2. And that's not to be taken as an insult. I actually love Beast Machines. I know a lot of people dislike it. And I also wonder, like, do you guys ever think about maybe putting the names of the designers on the box of the figures so that we can give credit to the designers and creators and things of that nature?
That's a good question. The Studio Series Cheetor, I can tell you, was based off of the Studio CAD that we got from Paramount at the time. But as you said, when some of the designs were rolling in from that movie, like looking at it, it was very much like, oh yeah, they were definitely inspired by some Transmetal stuff, like with this design. You've seen them in the trailer, things like that. Other than putting the designers' names on the back of packages, there's so much text on the back of the package right now. And it's not 1 or 2 people that works on a figure. It's also the engineering team, the packaging team. Like, there's so many people that touch it, and I feel like maybe by the end of it, it would be like 30 extra names on the back.
And then you got to translate them 5 times.
But I guess I would say, like Mark, Sam, and I have been trying to point out, hey, these are the Takara Tomy designers that have worked on these items with us. I guess that's where we're trying to be more out and about that stuff, because I don't know if it will ever be on the back of packaging.
I
don't know
think
if
it's something that smaller toy companies has had success with, you know, thinking of like a number of NECA packages that I have that, you know, lists kind of all the people involved, which is always awesome to be able to see and kind of put a name to the various pieces of production that goes through. I think as you get into a larger corporation like Hasbro, that starts to turn into a movie credits where it's just like, you know, you'd have like all these things unfolding from the outside of the box to be like, and we'd like to thank, you know, all of these people. In addition to, you know, being a global package and having the ability for it to be shipped everywhere, I think it definitely increases the number of the struggles that we'd face in terms of getting that, you know, for really upfront to the consumer. But hopefully you guys can appreciate what we're able to do through kind of social engagement, being able to do more, and, you know, putting a face to the name, especially as it attributes to live streams and reveals and stuff like that. And that's where we get to shine with the product.
Yeah, I do love that you guys put that on the social medias, and I think a lot of people will take that from there and like put it in the TF wiki, so it just gets cataloged somewhere at least.
Aaron Archer once addressed it many years ago, where he said that because it's a big corporation, there's a lot of individuals that are involved in that, and on top of it all, because there's the copy aspect of it that's on packaging, usually it has to be a draw. Like back in the day, Eric Larson, who worked on Savage Dragon, he worked on the Ninja Turtle line, so they used that as a draw, designed by Eric Larson. So that's where that falls into. If you're going to use that space, it has to be a marketing material, which is no offense to you guys, especially I love when Mark says, oh yeah, Hasui-san worked on this one, and I'm writing down, oh, Hasui-san worked on it. Okay, you know, got to make note of that, because sometimes you only find that out from a Takara interview usually. That's the only time you'll ever learn if, oh, that hot shot was done by this guy or something. So
yeah, it's that. I think it's actually really important. I'd like to get more of that information out there, because I, you know, working with Takara for like a while now, it's just like, you know, you can actually pick up a toy, transform it now, and just be like, oh, I know who worked on this. Like, and that sort of familiarity like you get with the Takara Tomy designers and us designers as well is just like, I don't know, it's just something that adds more to the experience for sure. I think it does.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it too is like, as Evan said, the team is big, right? And there are some people who maybe don't want their name out there, unlike a little more niche boutique toy companies. Like those people, that's how they make their living, is somebody sees their name on this one box and then they get a job to go do another box, you know, or do another toy. Whereas our team is made up of people who are here that do awesome jobs, but they don't want to be stalked via LinkedIn or social media in the future. Like it's just the way it works for them. So but yeah, 5L is a big part of it, and why we don't put it on there. We'd have to be like designed by, and designed by would have to be translated, even though the name would literally stay the same all 5 times, because that's just the way legalese works on packaging now.
So with that Cheetor design, that's just basically all Paramount. That's all the movie studio. You guys have like little to no input on those?
We certainly, when the movie was starting to get concept, we sent off kind of like our idealized version of some of these designs, and they took input from that. So it was a lot of back and forth. So yeah, it's a partnership
really,
with the studio.
It helps to also flesh out things like continuity and stuff like that, and making sure that we have the, you know, appropriate vehicle forms that are not only going to be kind of appropriate to the characters, but also period accurate. We know that Rise of the Beast is kind of a film that's taking place in a little bit of a different time frame from some of the other movies. So, you know, making sure that the vehicle that shows up is a vehicle that would have been around in the world at that time. So that's a real nice balance. And again, offers a great upfront in terms of that partnership with the studio team to ensure that it works for the brand and works for their movie.
So if the studio wanted to say make Optimus Prime a gun, would you guys be able to like say, yeah, that probably you shouldn't do that?
He's a gun in the new range. He's a gun in the kids' range, isn't he?
That's right.
Oh,
Nerf to
Suppose
the
there is
rescue.
Yeah, I suppose there is a kid's toy blaster that we released.
Yeah.
Kids
Um,
toy Megatron.
Just
Just saying.
we
And
could
I
certainly.
already confirmed no Megatron HasLab. Gosh, come on.
In hot orange. That's the only way.
Yeah,
To answer
98%
the question,
hot
though.
orange, one black piece. It'll be fine.
Yeah, right. Just make the Megatron like this. And yeah, that'll be great.
If that's the case, though, Shockwave's obviously purple. Why can't he be a gun again?
Dark purple is still considered too close. It
Is
has
it?
to be.
Okay. I
It
mean,
has to be
that's-
toyetic colors, which is
Yeah.
like bright neon green.
That's
Okay.
like
Shockwave.
safety orange.
Just
shock
turn the
blue, I
spaceship
think.
upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a submarine. What are you talking about?
All right. Brett, as long as you don't want to ask a question now, that takes me through everybody.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So before I open it back up to just like free for all questions, as you guys know, sometimes when we do these roundtable things, we like to talk about or maybe show something we haven't talked about yet. So we decided, since there's a whole lot of you, we wanted to come armed today to show something off. So I'm going to start, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mark to talk a little bit more about it. PR will reach out to you guys with all of the info. Not essentially embargoed. You guys can share screenshots from this if you want to, until you get that press packet from PR. But this is going to be fun. So yeah. So exclusive reveal for the year. We have Origin Universe. This is Origin Autobot Jazz. So this is
Oh,
from
wow.
that iconic G1 episode where we did UFO Bumblebee in the Buzzworthy line a couple years ago. Mark's like, we really need to get more of those versions out there. Obviously, Jazz super loved here, hover car mode. So this will be available for pre-order later this month. I'm not going to give you a specific date just in case something changes, but that's what we're going to state. And now I'm going to let Mark show you the actual toy here, and I'm going to spotlight him for everyone so you guys.
Nice.
Bannerific. As you can see, the hairdryer razor is here. He's looking spectacular, actually. Worked on this guy with Yuya-san, and as you can see, he has his nice little G1 styled blaster weapon as well. You can see the clear canopy on the top. I mean, this was just obviously a treat to work on because his hover vehicle mode is like really, really cool looking, and it's just very, very unique to the series. So this guy came out tremendous. I'll get into the robot mode right now because I mean, as awesome as this like little hover car is, the robot mode is just bananas. That you'll see here that I mean, it's just the accuracy of him in all of his glory. Let me see if I can.
That is
That's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah, definitely. That's the best
Super
thing I've seen
clean.
all year.
Keeping the false chest. That's where it's at.
Yeah, had to do that. I mean, but
It's accurate.
exactly right. Exactly
That's
right.
what you
Doesn't
need to-
really have that too much bad kibble, but like this is the best part now. Now we're getting into the deets here. You see how he's got his like little hand here? Boom, he's got a little slot there. And what's going in there is his grappling hook that is shown in the
Oh,
series.
sweet.
Wow.
And the best part, grappling hook pops off, fits on the tip of the gun, so he can shoot that as well.
That is amazing.
Come on.
That's
No string though.
No string, didn't do the string, didn't get the approval on the string,
The
but
string would have made it a leader class.
we do have a nice connector joint here as well. And there's in the hover car mode, actually, there is storage of that in the bottom here. You see that?
wow.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so this yeah, man. This was just one of those things that just had to be done, and it was done, and it was done properly here. because this guy looks really cool. He's got like ankle rockers, wrist swivel. I mean, no, he does not have wrist swivel. Sorry, misspoke. He does have waist swivel. Heads on ball joint, can look all around. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is just.
You developed him with Yuya-san, right?
Yeah, Yuya-san worked on this guy. Actually, you know what's interesting is Kunihiro-san worked on the UFO Bumblebee, and Yuya-san worked on this. So it'll be interesting to see who else gets added to this little sub collection here that you guys have been waiting for 40 years for.
Russ, you are on point there.
Just put a spoiler on the back. The spoiler on the back.
I've been waiting 40 years for these modes to come out,
know.
man. I mean, yeah, and they're properly nice and scale with each other, which really does fit the bill. His front chest piece actually does have a clear piece for the
Does he
headlights.
share any tooling with the Studio Series figure or no?
This is a brand new tool, man. There's
Wow,
absolutely
cool.
nothing. Yeah, there's nothing reused on this at all. It was, you know what? I mean, this is just too individual, like of a figure to like partial or remold or something like that. So yeah, had to do it proper.
And for the UK fans, you can get "And There Shall Come a Leader" blue streak.
We just need to throw wheels on him. Right?
Yeah, the
Didn't he
wheels.
have-
Yeah. It's funny. I remember talking about the wheels, and I was just like, I think we're gonna leave the wheels off.
It's a weird look. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like you got the UFO Bumblebee.
Who needs wheels in space?
Yeah,
Doesn't need wheels on Cybertron, doesn't we?
Oh god, yeah.
In space, no one can hear you drift.
But yeah, you guys will all get the write-up on it. We actually did do a full ecom photo shoot on the legacy diorama for this, so you'll have some nice official images and a front of pack image to share on your sites and blogs later today coming from PR. So Target was very excited that we were going to use this platform to reveal their first exclusive, well, not first, but first new reveal for 2023. And let you guys know that it'll be later this month. You'll see a pre-order go up on social. So
that is both fists have that compatibility as well.
Oh, cool.
You can shove some crash bar front ends in his hands. He's gonna...
or some
As a
blast
question
effects.
for with it being part of the buzzworthy line, like, are more buzzworthy stuff going to get revealed? Like, you guys usually do a lot of these reveals for like what the standard legacy stuff, but a lot of times like the buzzworthy stuff or some of the exclusives just kind of like show up, like Minerva like showed up, like, you know, like she did.
Yeah.
Is there going to be anything more like, you know, press for those figures too? Or
yeah, it's all kind of it's a partnership with our sales team. It's a partnership with the retailer and the way they want to run their business per se. Like Walgreens with Minerva, they don't really do pre-orders. It's once they finally had stock. Like I know they were up last week all of a sudden, and a couple times over the summer they kind of just do their own thing. Once we kind of hit the on-shelf date, we were able to put it on Pulse. I didn't know it was actually going on Pulse that day it went live, or else I would have kind of tried to give the community a heads up. So sometimes there's, you know, giant corporation, lack of communication back and forth. Like they're activating a pre-order and they're like, oh, we have this other item that's in stock, we're going to put it out. And I find out when the email comes through the same exact moment you guys do. And I'm like, oh, I got to go activate and get that out there. So we're trying to do our best to see what we can do, but a lot of it aligns to the retailer. So like, you know, like Walmart has Collector Con that they've been doing now. So obviously they want reveals to push to their event. Target's been doing their Geek Out events. As they come along, they let us know when they want us to help promote because they are their exclusives, or sometimes they don't. With retailers, to a point, they kind of trying to drive that foot traffic, right? So they want you to go in their store because statistically they know that if you have to walk by 16 aisles to get to the toy section, we're all addicted and we run right there and that's all we buy. But the average person that might need to have this figure has to then go buy, you know, the greeting cards and the other toys, and they might end up buying something else incidental that they wouldn't buy if they only order it online. So it's a kind of a balance between everything. But we won't pre-order everything throughout the year, but we will reveal based on like strategy of how we, you know, the retailer wants us to work and how our sales team wants to get that item out there.
Woohoo!
no target.
Cybertronian jazz.
Nice. Sweet.
There's no targets in the UK. It's really hard for us to get them. Really hard to get
Do they
anything
not?
that's target
They don't go
related.
to Smith's like just normally, like as the place to be.
No,
It's only gets the Walmart stuff.
Smiths at the moment is they've been lucky enough to get Velocitron, but we haven't got Wave 2. So we had first wave, yeah, we had them overstocking of Cosmoses, but I've not seen. And that was going to be one of my questions. Well, I've not seen Shadow Strip. I've not seen Crasher. I've not none of them funnily enough, apart from Galaxy Shuttle, but that went straight in a different shop called Game.
Interesting.
We
I
don't
mean,
get
Pulse,
Buzzworthy.
now that they're in the UK and further expanded into Europe, is kind of going to be your like best bet for these overall.
That's fine.
I know Smith's is like kind of the Toys R Us per se of the UK to a point, but they obviously don't take everything because it's just the way it works. Yeah, sadly, we sometimes get told where stuff is going by non-target retailers, and sometimes we don't. Yeah, Pulse should have the other Velocitron stuff. Hopefully, they're not sold out. Sorry that Smith's didn't get it. Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Speaking of Velocitron stuff, like Walmart put up the hot rod, but never like activated it. Like there's a sales page for it, but it never went up on Pulse, and I don't know if it's come out in like any region.
I didn't know that Walmart activated a page. As far as I could tell, images were pulled from a system that somebody shouldn't have had access to.
No, it did go up on the Walmart website. You just couldn't buy it.
Yeah. At this time, my understanding is that item is not slated to come out from Walmart or any other retailer. Not that it's completely never going to happen, but at this moment, it doesn't have an actual planned release as we're moving into focusing on Rise of the Beast, and that will be the majority of the exclusives for the spring.
In that case, well, I mean, that's one for Proto Man to hunt down on the black market.
I was about to say, after I just picked this guy up, I need to save some money. So that was way too much action toys.
All right. We have 5 more minutes before I'm going to kick you all out because I want to drive home. And I had to come to the office because I stupidly forgot that Jazz here on Thursday. So I got to come in and do this from the office. So parting question, anybody want to?
Got a big one. Okay, so with the pipeline reveal of Armada Megatron, which hype, seriously. And also in the Legacy Evolution posters, we see Armada Prime. Obviously, this is more of an Megatron question, but it can be taken into account with Prime, considering he's just like torso pants. But when it comes down to it, are you, even though there may not be plans to release the companion pieces later on, are they being engineered with those in mind for combining aspects?
Ooh.
I'm gonna let
Great question.
Great
about
question.
it.
Great
He worked
question.
on Megatron, so
He's talking about tidal wave.
Tidal wave
like-
and jet fighter,
I didn't
right?
read between the lines.
Just in case you didn't get it.
We all elephant in the room.
And overload.
Overload, yeah.
How much can I
jet
talk
pants,
about
super arm,
Megatron?
super shoulders.
It's pipeline.
Super pants.
You can talk about Armada. Like
Alright.
we put Armada. Oh man, I can't talk anymore, guys. It's been a long day. We put
Armada.
Armada as the artwork on the pipeline. So like, we can confirm that it is our Armada Megatron. Like we did that on purpose.
We're very conscientious. Certainly a figure like that.
We know it exists.
Hey, how we're going to use that figure? There was mention of, how often do we put alternate heads in the molds? That's something we're thinking about. And, in terms of other ways we might be utilizing that figure in the future, that certainly was not missed for a character like Armada Megatron, or where else that might have a nice form of compatibility. There's a really, really interesting solve, which I'm going to be thrilled to share with you guys whenever that comes about.
Sam's really taking his time with this answer, I'm telling you.
Sometime in the future.
I tell you, that was a tight rope this guy was walking up.
I know.
He's taken up all the 5 minutes deliberately. He's took it all up. All the 5 minutes are gone.
Well, he's probably also trying to not reveal stuff he's not allowed to. I'm sure.
Yeah,
That's exactly
we're
it.
gonna slow the
Answer this
chamber that these
question without
shots are
getting-
coming out. So how
There's
many
somebody
minutes
with a sniper rifle outside his window.
Another burning question I have specifically, really happy that Dirge is getting a package refresh, but a lot of the figures during Earthrise were just short packed, or because they were, exclusives during the pandemic.
2020, yeah, right in the middle.
Like Runabout, Run 'em up, both Battle Chargers, Ramjet, Thrust, Sunstreaker was one I know some people were having difficulty finding. Have you guys thought about maybe doing like a package refresh, or maybe like another I don't know, like on Hasbro Pulse kind of thing through generations, like releasing those figures again, to have people be able to get their hands on them again. So
yeah, this kind of slightly goes back to Ryan's question. Obviously, not all being exclusives by any mean. It just has to do with where things line up as we move forward. Like, we're always conscientious of what people missed out on along the way. I think you're starting to see that a little bit within Buzzworthy even, right? Like, you saw that we re-released that Optimus Prime that people have been hunting after for the last few years. It was getting up there in price on the secondary market. There are a lot of new fans who maybe came in with Bumblebee, didn't realize that Optimus existed. They're into Studio Series and like, I need it. So like, we're always trying to figure out where we can fit these products back in the line. It's just a matter of where they fit as we're doing what we're doing in terms of celebration, and where we're able to, make impactful exclusives as well for other retailers and sites like Pulse. They obviously are our own store, but at the same time, they're a store and they're dealing with multiple brands, and some are more priorities than others at times, and they have to do what they want to do. We can present it to them, but they might just feel like, I don't really know that we're going to do enough pieces on that to support it. Let's move on to this. So we'll look at it. Obviously, we hear you. Walmart, Soundwave, we get it. You want it.
You bring up something good though, Ben. Like, how much do you guys pay attention to the secondary market with recent product?
We just, keep an eye on it so we can understand, like, maybe we underproduced something, or, it's been 6 years and there are people who were not collecting 6 years ago. And they're like,
okay,
I wasn't buying toys in 2018 when Studio Series launched. I want Grimlock, damn it. And I'm just gonna, I don't want to pay
that's
X number of dollars for them. So
that's something I'm always curious about, because like when you have like Mark always says, like these sets that you're trying to complete, and you have something like the Dinobots you mentioned, where by the time you guys do get around to say Swoop, Grimlock will be so many years removed that people are going to be engaging with that product in the moment. Will be like, well, 4 years ago this came out, it's a leader class, secondary market, eBay, forget about it. That's where because I see that with Takara, they'll release an appropriate character, a Sunstreaker masterpiece, and they'll go, well, let's revisit Lambor, Sideswipe, re-release them again so people could revisit that. So is that something that's obviously is on the radar, I imagine, with these groups, certain characters,
Yeah, we're always looking to do the best we can. Obviously, big corporation, we have a lot of people we answer to, and we have to strategically do what we can do. We want to make sure there's enough newness and out there, but we also understand we have a lot of new fans that come into the brand all the time, and we don't want them to feel left out. So we assess where we can and try to get out what we can, but we can't do all of it, unfortunately.
Awesome.
Well, thank you all for your time. Again, if you have some additional questions about the stuff we couldn't talk about, please reach out to PR. Whitney and Kelly are definitely there, and our friends at RNC. Again, they'll get you that stuff for Jazz. You can get it out there on all of your sites today. I'm sure I will see a flood of it on my social media by the time I start scrolling through tonight when my daughter goes to bed. So we will try to do this again a little more frequently and not give you like a 6-month break.
You gave me time to move down here, so you remember
yeah, you were packing, like literally moving that day, right?
I was moving the next day. I was leaving New Jersey and coming down here to Florida. So
yeah,
another Floridian. Oh no!
Oh, they're multiplying.
There's like 3 of us right
Anthony's
here.
in Florida. Oh, you're in Kissimmee. I'm in Ocala. So
Perfect. Well, thank
Canada.
you all.
Am I the only UK guy then? I must be the only UK.
You're ready for bed now, right? It's time. It's none of it's time.
It's 10 p.m. It's 10 p.m. So yeah,
You know where your children are?
I can't hear them. So thankfully, you know, it's like,
Jeez.
I can't hear them. So that's all that really matters. Let's be honest.
Perfect. Alrighty. Well, thank
Hey,
you all.
Ben?
We'll talk again. Yeah.
You said, just to clarify, do not post anything about Jazz until we hear from PR.
No, you guys can post screenshots and stuff from this prior to if you want to. They're just going to give you the official ecom images.
Can I do it now? I could do it now.
Yeah, you all can. Like,
gonna
I'm sure
say.
some of you already got it up there. So
Yeah, I just posted Jazz, so I'm sure that's correct.
get on it. It's fine. But yeah, they have the official stuff. We didn't want you to just all go rogue without all of the info. From what we just had to say, we wanted to put a package together. Unlike that time we were like, hey, look, it's Blaster. Okay, I took Blaster off the screen. Hope you caught that. So
Also, cheers guys for being the leakers on Jazz.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Good job.
Yes.
Woo!
You guys
I'm
beat Prime
gutted.
versus Prime.
hey,
Got
you
one.
You got
Yes,
one in a row.
They missed Snarl. I'm gutted. That's all over there. I'm gutted you missed that, and they beat you to it.
It is what it is. So,
It got taken down.
Thanks again for doing all this.
Thank
All
you
right.
guys so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
it's great talking with all of you.
Appreciate it.
Always.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to you guys.
Evan and Mark.
Appreciate it.
Everyone.
Oh,
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
does this
Thank you
count
for
as
the
Toy
Japanese
Fair?
stuff.
Kind of, but not really.